Okay, we are now live, and I'm hoping that my internet is not going to be a problem in this because it crapped out earlier. So I'm hoping that that doesn't become a problem in this, and fucks up what otherwise could be a decent stream. So this is Louis, and we're going to be talking a little bit about Telltale because Telltale ran into some problems that no one saw coming. Nobody saw it coming. It's just a mystery, man. It's one of those things where you're just blindsided, where a company that has been releasing continuously and notably bad games and underwhelming games, worse than every previous one they put out, just runs out of money. You know what I mean? Somebody said rename the stream. I told you so. I already had a I was right stream. It's I'm not sure if I archived it yet or not, but I've already had a stream of that name. Yeah, so it's just something that I called a very long time ago. I actually went back on my channel to see, when I actually did call it, and I was talking about this becoming a serious issue for Telltale as a company, believe it or not, in 2015. 2015 is when I said this was a problem. And fast forward 3 years, and they're done as a company. They're completely done. There's no way they can recover because as it's turned out, as it's come out through reports, they are contractually obligated to finish some random Minecraft game that they've been doing, like the 3rd season of some shitty Minecraft game that no one's been buying. They are contractually obligated to do that, and the Walking Dead, the final season, of which the 2nd episode is coming out this Tuesday, they're not finishing it. That is done. And it's amazing because that's fraud. That's fraud, in case anyone knows that. When you buy a season pass on the stipulation that you are owed certain things and a company fails to deliver on those things that you purchased, that's fraud. And I have no idea how they're actually not going to get pulled off of Steam. All it's going to require is enough people to make this a big deal, and The Walking Dead, the final season, will get pulled off of Steam because they fraudulently said that this season was going to be 5 full episodes, and they're only going to deliver on 2. It's pretty crazy. I actually would not have expected them to do that. That's in an unbelievable, like, that's a good way to get sued as a company, is to do something like that. Promise, like, offer a product and not deliver on it to such a brazen degree, and to continue to make money off of something that you are never going to actually deliver on. It's pretty brazen, and I can't believe that they're in the end going to do that. Somebody super chatted, opinion on people like Jeff Holiday and others blocking you and calling you parasites a while ago. You never really gave a mini rant on it. I don't really care. That's my opinion. Thanks for the super chat, but I don't really care. I've distanced myself from people. He decided to publicly distance himself from me. It's kind of whatever, But in any case, I actually have a few articles that I've brought up because this is a shit show. This is an event that, you would expect somebody like Mr. Medicare to do a video on because it is such a clusterfuck of a situation. And I'll showcase that to you. So let me screen share. Actually, let me get on the right. So we're going to have a quick sponsored message. Not everyone's going to appreciate this, but I have my sponsors, okay? So a quick sponsored message from the FBI. The FBI is currently hiring, and all you have to do is send them the right resume, wink, wink, and you'll be fast-tracked into a position for being an agent like me. So just keep this in mind as you apply to the FBI. Okay. So where we start is with this. That 3 years after I said that this company was making a horrible series of mistakes, they are done. They went from a company of 500 people, which was actually, I didn't find that article. Let me look that up. Telltale layoffs. Let me see if I can find the original. Because they laid people off a while ago. I might have a problem finding an old article because they... here it is, right here from Polygon. So this was back in 2017. This was last November, that they laid off 25% of their workforce. And to anyone who's being honest, that's a clear sign that something is going wrong in your company when you are laying off that many people. And you also claim to be developing like 5 titles at once. That's how you know that something's wrong. Here's an update from yesterday, actually. Oh, Polygon. So fucking lazy. But yeah, so this happened a while ago, all the way back last year, November. But this is pretty much when I knew that it was, well, I actually knew this. Let me look it up. Out of ideas, out of time. Ooh, that was loud. I got a headset on. So this was published in July of 2017. And one of the things that I said in this, which you can't hear because I'm wearing a headset because I'm unsure if I'm going to be joined by a guest at any point in this. But I said back in July that the writing was on the wall for Telltale. And I forget, it was somewhere right around here that I said it, that it's make or break right now. And that unless they change radically, they are going to fail as a company. So I called them failing as a company, and I called it happening in the near future in July of last year. Then in November, they laid off 25% of their workforce, in which was, at the time, it was 90 employees. Okay. So I'm setting up how we got to this. Because I said this a long time ago. This is too big of a message. I said this because the thing is that there's a ton of people roaming around right now going, who could have seen this coming? Ladies and gentlemen, Telltale Games has shut down. Who could have seen this coming? What Negrodamus-esque man could have seen this coming? And it was me. It was me. Why aren't I using Archive? Because I don't feel like it. I'm giving them a single view. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. So, quick super chats. One suspects a connection between Telltale's long-standing wokeness and newfound brokenness. We'll get to that, Salad. Appreciate the support. Looks like the episodic model's almost in the gutter for now. Maybe there's more expectation for reasonable, complete games. There's a chance that that's the right sentiment, because I have a lot of people, and this was an old video on my channel way back when in 2015. I think it was April 2015 that a friend of mine, Match, and I talked about that model. And I love how Life is Strange. I didn't even see that Life is Strange is the first fucking reply. Oh man, suck it up. Don't nod, you fucking cocksuckers. Anyways. Yeah, I agree. That's what Match and I talked about. Match was very much took issue with their business model. And guess what? In the end, those of us that bought the final season are getting screwed. I don't really care. It was like 20, 30, 40, whatever dollars. I don't really care. I'll spend that money to be right in this situation. I don't care if I get screwed in the end. Critters Buggin said, why are you such an insufferable crybaby? I'm not crying, dude. I'm actually talking about something that I predicted 3 years ago, and it's very relevant to the gaming industry. So thanks for the support. Matt says, have a Monster Zero on me and go mow your new lawn. Well, it's going to take a couple months, but it's looking like that's going to be the case. Thanks for the support. Anyways, getting back to this. So this was actually a decent article by Gamma Sutra, which is a shit website I hope fails at some point. But what's good about shit websites like this is that they are very good at getting insiders because they're safe. You know, these are far left journos, and these are far left developers. Guess where they naturally go? To the far left websites. I wouldn't be surprised if these journals weren't fucking these devs. And I'm saying that unironically. That's not a joke. So this is a decent article. And one of the things it brought up was this here, which I didn't actually know. So who's being blamed for this? And so let's talk about this first. So this was a long hit piece on The Verge about Telltale. And it was saying that Telltale is basically careening off the edge and going into the fucking gutter as a company. And it's a long article. I read this earlier today. Very long. It's from back in March of this year. And it's talking about how the company is failing. And there's all these problems within the inner workings of the studio. And right here, let me find it. Right here, Bruner. It talks about Bruner over and over and over again. This is his fault. Everything that's wrong with Telltale, it's Bruner's fault. Bruner got these people to quit. Bruner put these conditions in place. Bruner. Like, just looked at this article. His name is fucking everywhere. Bruner. So who's Bruner? Who's Bruner? Who's this Bruner guy? He's being blamed for everything. Everything that's gone wrong in the company is his fault. The profitability is his fault. The overwork is his fault. The bad conditions, the turnover, everything is his fault. Who's Kevin Bruner? So Kevin Bruner is the former CEO and co-founder of the company. And I recognize this guy, and I followed him on Twitter for quite a while. He, by all appearances, was the guy that convinced the rest of the board and the company itself, the management, to hire very quickly. He went out and he got a bunch of licenses from HBO, Manga, or whatever the fucking Mojo, or whatever the company is that owns Minecraft that Notch used to own. Went out and got contracts from DC, from whatever the fucking company is that owns Minecraft, and HBO. He went out and got all these contracts. And so they started producing the Batman series, the Game of Thrones series that they did with Marvel. They did that Guardians of the Galaxy series. Like, he went out and got all these licenses. Then he decided this in 2015 and continued the strategy through 2015, 2016, and in 2017, he finally got forced out of the company. And at the time, I thought this, and many people thought this, including here at Gamma Sutra, they thought this. They thought he stepped down because the company was going off the fucking rails and the quality had dropped radically. He actually was forced out of the company and is now suing the company. But good luck getting any money out of the company, Kevin Bruner, because they're fucking bankrupt. They are bankrupt as a company. Oh, and also somebody said Tales from the Borderlands. So Tales from the Borderlands, not that I want to get hung up on this, was, in my opinion, that and the second season of The Walking Dead was the turning point of the company. When the company went from fully, like it went from its peak to taking a major step down in terms of quality. And that, to me, was when I realized something was wrong with the company, and I, boom, reported on it. That's when I started talking about it as being a serious problem. And I got intense pushback for that. You can go look at the video. My original video, which was Narrative Games Are Shit. That's the original video I did. I complained about this and said it was a real issue. I had dozens of people unsubscribe from me. Burnout, rage quit my channel, call me a total retard, say I was completely wrong. I had no idea what I was talking about. I was completely wrong about Telltale. And I did a follow-up video with a friend of mine, Match, where we talked about that, where we talked about those people flaming out and quitting my channel and what our problems were with the company. That was 3 years ago that all this happened. And 3 years later, here we are. So yeah, this was a big thing that was not known up until, when was this article written? June of this year. So he quit last year, but he actually was suing the company, or at least started a suit against the company. And this was not known by anyone. So he was forced out of the company because the management were so concerned about what he was doing with the company that they got rid of him. The problem is that no matter how much that article from The Verge blamed him, nothing really changed after he left. He left in March of 2017. He lost control. And so we have to include the next several games from that point onward. And while there were notable improvements in, let's say, the second Batman game, they did a first Batman game, which was trash, and they made a second one, which in my opinion was better. Despite that, it's not enough. And so let's exit off on this here. And so that's when we get to this. So this happened 10 days ago. 10 days ago from today. This happened on the 12th. Where, and I saw this, where Telltale put out some tweet about, it was like, I think a quote of someone else saying that Clementine was a feminist icon in the game. The character, the starring character of The Walking Dead, which in my opinion was the major mistake they made in the second season of The Walking Dead, was they made Clementine the protagonist. They shouldn't have done that. That was the first mistake. And the video that I'm likely going to make, if I make a video outside of this stream, is going to be called Choosing Virtue over Profit. And in it, I'm basically going to demonstrate that as a company, you have to choose between profit or virtue, how others perceive you, and you being virtuous, or you as a company being profitable. You have to choose one. You can't have both. They thought they could have both, and this is where they are. You can't have both. You can have one or the other. You got virtue. Look at this. You're very virtuous. A Clementine is a feminist icon, and your company's over with. I see Undoomed has joined the chat. But yes. So what happened in this instance is what I call fuck the fans. This is what I've labeled this before, but this is a fuck the fans moment for a company, not just an individual, a company. Because this is not coming from their social media manager on their personal account. This is coming from Telltale Games, at Telltale Games. We don't have the full thing, but I saw this originally. This person responded and said, we shouldn't be regarding Clementine as a feminist icon. You know, this, I forgot what the exact message was. I don't have the full thing here. But the person in response, the Telltale Games says in response, buy them, meaning fuck off, don't buy our games. And in response to that, the person says, no, I love Clem. Like, this person is a fan, but a feminist icon, please. And in response to that, with clapping emojis from which is literally what SJWs do. This is what SJWs do. We stand, great spelling, we stand by our feminist icon Clem. And so I can't play it because I have my headset on. Actually, hold on. Let's see if I can not fuck shit up. Give me a second here. Let's just keep this in mind. Keep what's in. Hold on. Okay, let me unplug my headset for a second. Hopefully this doesn't fuck the stream. Okay, you ready? Okay. This is what happens. These are the consequences of not understanding that you have a choice in the matter. You can have profit or you can have virtue. You cannot have both. And this is, in fact, like, one of the people I should have invited on, but I didn't have a chance, was Jeremy from the Quartering. Because this is a classic get woke, go broke moment. The other thing that I couldn't find, and somebody linked me and I couldn't find it again, was the fact that they were engaging in discriminatory hiring. They were looking for some like middle manager role, and they were saying it's for like women need only apply or men need not apply. Like it was for a woman only. So people can blame Burner or Buhner or whatever his name was all they want. But the fact is that he didn't do this. Kevin, God, what's his fucking name? I just did a fucking article on him. Bruner. Sorry. Okay. So Kevin Bruner didn't do this. He didn't put out that thing of discriminatory hiring. He didn't put out this fucking message. He didn't continue to have Clementine as a protagonist in 3 sequels. 3 sequels to the only fucking game that was at all recognized as anything that meant a shit in regards to this company. It was this new person. What's his name? It doesn't even matter. He's still there, but it doesn't even matter. He's the one that was there when all this shit happened and the company fucking closed. So let's get to Bruner's response. I'm going to read Bruner's response. This is the original CEO of the company and the guy that was there when the whole company, when the company took off in 13? Was it 13? I'm going to say 2013. When the company took off, he was the guy that was there. He was the guy that was spearheading all the changes that were done to the company. He's the one that got all the contracts. Him. So let's read his response from yesterday. Today is a very, very sad day. I left Telltale a year and a half ago after an extended period where the board of directors and I had very different visions of Telltale's future and how we might get there. This was one of the hardest times of my professional life, but in the end, the company is controlled by its board of directors, and I respected their decisions throughout. As a co-founder, I take enormous amount of pride that we were able to build the kind of games that I am immensely passionate about creating, exploring, evolving, and perfecting, if that's even possible. By the way, under your tenure, bro, the games were shit. We built a significant new brand, helped define a new genre, and thrived for more than a decade. We pursued projects that no one else would consider. The Walking Dead, Tales from the Borderlands, which you fucked. The Wolf Among Us, which you're not doing a sequel for. Batman, which only mattered in the 2nd season. Minecraft, which you're contractually obligated to make no matter, despite the fact nobody fucking plays it. Puzzle Agent, which I'm not familiar with. Poker Night, which is from a while ago, but I liked. Sam and Max, which is from even longer ago, which is fine. Are kind of projects I personally loved and poured my heart and soul into each one. These are the kind of projects that no other publisher or studio would touch. We chose to venture where others dare not go, and we found some success along the way. We took a lot of vision, luck, willpower, which is one word, teamwork, talent, and very long days and nights to get there, but it will forever be worth it. And we did it all while growing, attracting some of the most talented people I've ever known. You know, push X for doubt. We were equally passionate about making sure our employees always had a home. Prior to my leaving, we were able to avoid sweeping layoffs and somehow managed to ensure that we always had work for everyone. This is a dig at the current leadership. We worked hard, and sometimes it seems like we had more than we could handle, but we stuck together and forged ahead. And here's where we get into some bigger digs. Today, I'm mostly saddened for the people who are losing their jobs, for the people losing their jobs at the studio they love. And I'm also saddened at the loss of the studio that greenlit crazy ideas that no one else would consider. So this is both a dig and what could be, it can be considered both praise and a dig. after he left. I'm comforted a bit knowing that there are so many new talented people in studios creating games involving the narrative genre. Not really. Not really. Not a whole lot. There really isn't. While I look forward to those games and new developments and continuing to contribute, I will always find a Telltale game to have a unique offering. I know that Telltale will be remembered finally for what it does best. Yeah, except for anyone who bought the last season of The Walking Dead who just got fucked. Those are the people that are going to fondly remember Telltale. The people that shelled out $40 and got fucked. But anyways, this statement is funny because part of it is him blaming the current leadership for its closing. And I have to say that this is probably untrue. It's very likely that he's the guy that steered them so far off course that the company was never able to recover. But the fact is they forced him out. He didn't leave willingly. They forced him out and he was suing the company. And the fact is that ultimately, no matter how much they want to blame this guy, he's been gone for a year. Over a year he's been gone. And that's the time you had to get new contracts, to get new investment, to lay people off, to headhunt people for specific roles, to do all the things that companies need to do in order to survive. You failed to do all of those things. I mean, anything. Get a publisher. Get investment. Sell the company. There's a million fucking things you could have done to salvage the company. And all those things, the board of directors and the management of it failed to do. There's a million things they could have done. They failed to do any of them. So you know who's at fault? Not Kevin Bruner, the management of the company that's currently still there. The only ones that haven't been fucking laid off. They're the ones that are at fault. So I got people saying I got super chats. So let me get to the super chats. William Martin says, why did you flag Metacrist Archiver? Because he uploaded a full stream of mine. That's why. There's the mystery solved. Don't upload my videos in full. If I stumble across them, there's a chance I might flag them. If you want to take my work and make it a transformative work and make it fair use, by all means, use my videos. There are people that have done that. You don't see me fucking flagging them, do you? This is not a big deal. Other than for people that want to make it a big deal. But thanks for the $5 there, Will. Zotar says, CBS increased STD's S2 budget by $15 million. Could have licensed half of 2018's anime for that much. Million weebs in Canada, US willing to sub streaming services watch anime. Bad move on CBS's part. I'm not sure what all that means, but thanks for the support. Ike says, Don't Nod is actually doing well, especially because of the strong performance of Vampire. Yeah, as far as I know, they are doing well. I think Life is Strange 2 is probably going to do worse than the first. But yeah, as far as I know, they actually are doing fine. They're also a small company, to my knowledge. Unlike Telltale, which blew up in terms of size of their company. They went from like a very small development team to like a medium-sized, like mid-level developer overnight. They rapidly increased the size of their studio. And you have to credit Bruner. He's the one that, like, out of the gate, getting contracts, getting investment. That's how you expand. That's how you grow a company. So he might have been a slave driver in terms of a manager, but he got the investment required to keep the company afloat. It's the people that replaced him, that got rid of him, that failed to do the things necessary to keep the company alive. So people can blame him all they want. I'm blaming the people that were currently there that couldn't produce a fucking decent game and were unable to keep the company afloat, which every company on earth, like Enron as a company, got out of bankruptcy and still survived as a company. They eventually paid off their debts as a company. If Enron, of all companies, can fucking do it, why is it that Telltale is folding as a company with no scandal, no fraud, no nothing, other than the fact that they put out a game and are not going to be delivering on what people paid for? That should be, honestly, the story of the fall. This should be a big story. The fact that on Steam right now, you can buy a fucking game that is never going to be delivered at full price. It should be pulled from from Microsoft, from the PlayStation Store, from every platform it's on. This fucking game should be pulled. It will never be delivered upon. It should be fucking pulled from the stores. It's fraud. TK says, FYI, that Verge article mentions Bruner 36 times. Yeah, it's a long article, and they blame him for just about everything that's wrong with the company. And it's from earlier this year when he was already gone. Undoomed says, thank God, Louis. I love when you're pissed. Thanks, Undoomed. Willow says, don't really give a shit about this, but here's some money for the waifu fund. Keep ranting, bro. Have you watched My Hero Academia? Worth a watch? I haven't watched it. I'm aware of it, though. Kevin says, hello from Syracuse. Hello. I've been to Syracuse many times. I can't say I like your city. No offense. It's better than Rochester. I'll say that. But I can't say I like it. Really weirdly designed city. Mitch says they are creatively fucked. Nothing will save Telltale Games. Yes. Unless you have either like a predatory or angel investor swoop in and buy their fucking company. That's the only way that they're going to be getting out of this. And I don't know if that's going to happen. Being that they already laid off everyone, it would just be buying licenses, like buying their IPs, like buying the Walking Dead, or not the license for the Walking Dead games. And you'd have to buy the properties, like meaning the titles from Telltale. That way you then own them as the publisher. They develop them, but you own them now as a publisher. That happened with Saints Row. That happened with it's an old game, but it's called Evil Genius. They got bought out by not Digital Revolver, some other studio. It's basically what happens when a company puts out a game, that company folds, and then another company comes in and buys them off so that they can use that property for future products. Tim says SJWs are effing degenerates, leeches for anything they latch onto. Once a company accepts even a shard of that ideology, failure is only a matter of time. See, Tim, that's my feeling as well. Like, it's been going around today, and I've been basically shitting on the idea the entire day today when I was working. I just kept retweeting people, and I was shitting on it for the idea that anyone should hire any of these people, because you don't know who you're hiring. You don't know who the problem is unless you vet them thoroughly, or people name names and you basically create like a gaming version of a black book where you put, this person is an SJW, this is who they worked for, this is what they did, and you basically pass that book around and refuse to hire any of those people. That's the only way that you're going to prevent more shit like this from happening. That's the only way you're going to prevent more things like this. Because they, like I said, it's the whole reason I want to do a video, because this is just the textbook example of having a choice between profit and ideology. In the case of the title, it's going to be virtue, and they chose virtue. They chose to go down this route of virtue signaling and pushing politics in their fucking games, of which they fucked Tales from the Borderlands because of that. They fucked it. I loved it for the first 2 episodes. They destroyed it. What was the first fucking thing they did? They hired Anthony Birch. They started pushing fucking forced lesbian relationships, forced fucking lesbian characters, forced garbage in the next episode, which was episode 3, and it destroyed that fucking game. They destroyed it. And since that point in time, they've been pushing bullshit like that in every single one of their titles. It's just been it's usually been low key. Not always, but it's usually been fairly low key. But yeah, Tim, that's the point that I was trying to make, that you can't hire these people, because once they get in, all they do is they open the door for like every SJW in the industry to also come in after them, and they shut it for anyone who's not an SJW. You have to basically protect yourself against these people. So Zontar says Telltale owns 0 IPs, only titles that are worth 0. They own some IPs technically, but in terms of what's actually worth buying, the only thing would be like if I was a studio like Don't Nod, I would buy their engine if I could get it on the cheap, pennies on the dollar, and I could get their contract or their license for not The Walking Dead, The Wolf Among Us. I think if advertised correctly, if they bought the Wolf Among Us IP and not the IP in terms of the original comics, but the license for that game and the game itself from Telltale, I think they could make a profit off of it. I think if they actually put in the effort, they could make a profit off the Wolf Among Us too. But that would be it. That would be the only thing that I'd be willing to buy from them because nothing else is going to make a goddamn penny. And it would require a dev that's willing to take that risk. I mean, I'm not really sure who would be willing to take the risk and who would have the know-how to be able to make the game off the engine, but it would be a risk. And it would be like an angel investor. Like it would have to be like a willing participant who's knowingly taking a major risk for the purposes of bailing out what is just a failed company. It wouldn't even be the Mitt Romney, like come in, flip the company and then sell it sort of scenario. What is it? Venture capitalist style. Like you couldn't do that with Telltale. You could not do it with Telltale. There would be no money in it for you. It would require someone who's basically a benevolent investor to be able to try to salvage this. And I don't think anyone's crazy enough to do that. Gamers Nation says, would you personally bronze and build a statue of Trump if he did that East Asia pussy merger trade, even though it sadly will never happen? Sure. I'll build a foundry in my backyard, and I'll build a bronze statue of Trump, like full scale too. And I'll try to do my best to model it, even though I'm not a sculptor or metal. What is it? What's it called where you work with metal? Somebody in the chat shout that out. What's the technical name for someone that works for with metal, that creates things? Let's metallurgist, metallurgist. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Maybe blacksmith. That actually might be more correct than metallurgist. Yeah, Smith. Everyone's saying Smith, so I'll say metalmancy. Anyways, sure. William says it was only a clip. Could have messaged him. No, it wasn't. It was the full stream. It was the full stream. You're either ignorant to the facts, William, or you're making shit up. It was the full stream that he uploaded to his channel. So get fucked. I'm well within my legal right to do that. People can keep talking about this even though it's been weeks, but I'm still in the right. And I'm not apologizing for something that I have the legal right to do when he didn't ask. He could have messaged me and asked, and I would have told him fucking no. But he didn't do that. He uploaded it and acted like an asshole. So that was the consequence. He got the strike. Whatever. It's old news there, bro. But thanks for the support. Suede says, Telltale was never very good, about as good as the most basic Japanese visual novels with about as much depth as the average zombie movie. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's a good analogy there, Suede. That was one of the things that I said about Telltale was that I've played several visual novels that were leagues better than the writing that was coming out of that company. And that was the sorry state of narrative games. I think I even said that in the original video from 2015, that the real problem with narrative games is that they don't compare to Japanese visual novels. And that the only difference is that at the time, you couldn't buy visual novels on Steam. All you had was shitty narrative games from Telltale. And guess what? That's no longer the case on Steam. Now there's plenty of fucking visual novels on Steam. There are hundreds at this point on Steam, to my knowledge, that one can buy. And they are, in fact, most often better than what you would get from Telltale. The only difference would be the visual aspect of them. Blank or still images with some animations in more recent ones compared to fully animated, which is at a premium. It costs way more to make a Telltale game than it does to make just a basic visual novel. But the thing is that the reason why they were originally successful was that they didn't actually have competition on the Western market. You only could buy visual novels from Jest or Manga Gamer or wherever. There was only certain websites that you could, and it's still to that case, like especially the more sexual games, the hentai games, the actual like Nookage or whatever you would call them games. You can still only buy those games on fringe websites, like random websites where you have to basically translate it your fucking self and patch it yourself and do all this other shit yourself. It's not just boom, buy on Steam, download, ready to go. There's very few like hentai games that are like that. Very few. But the thing is that as of this year, you have just a deluge, a fucking tidal wave, a tsunami wave that could wipe out all of Japan that has landed on fucking Steam. And I can tell you that one of the reasons why Steam is likely doing this is because they're making money hand over fist on those visual novels. I guarantee you that's the reason why Valve is doing this. Because they have a total... Because one, it's PC only. No one's going to be buying this shit on fucking consoles. It's going to be on PC. But secondly, now that they're a platform with millions of users, millions of users, they can instantly connect companies to millions of customers of a virginal market of which most Westerners at this point are still unaware of, and just see for the first time, buy it through Steam, and then immediately showcase that to companies that are developing these games and show you, we're a platform. Don't go to these fringe websites that are going to sell you like 1,000 copies. Come to us, and we'll sell you 20,000 copies of your random visual novel from 10 years ago. Put it on our platform, we'll make you money hand over fist. And in the process, they're making money hand over fist. I guarantee you that this was something that they had been debating, they eventually agreed upon, and now they're making an immense amount of money because of. And Inferno Chill says, Fox girls are the superior demigirl. All others are inferior. Change my mind. Well, I won't really. I can tell you that Fox girls are still unregulated. There's not been any decision yet as to their capacity to consent. So getting back to this, let's get back to this. So we have this get woke go broke aspect. Oh, I love this. This is a meme from H3H3. This is an older meme. I don't know how many people are gonna remember this meme, but this is a good meme from H3H3. Anyway, so this, I can't verify this chart, and it's, let me zoom in. It's small. I can't verify this as being true, but I can tell you what's on the screen. It's gonna block the. I'm not sure if you guys can see this or not, but in any case, I'll put the arrow key down here. So in 2010, Back to the Future came out, and it only sold, according to Steam Spy, which is not everything as far as I know. It only sold a little bit over 500,000 copies total. Then Jurassic Park came out, which was a terrible game. I played that. That was in 2011. That sold like shit. Then in 2012, you had The Walking Dead, and everything just goes boom through the fucking roof. And as far as you know, this is inaccurate. They actually sold 6.5 million copies of that game on all the consoles and everything. To my knowledge, the total of The Walking Dead, the first season, was 6.5 million copies, which for them is the most success they ever had with any fucking game. And that's actually, worthy of accolades. That's worth talking about. That's something that people should mention, to say that, man, that game sold a lot and was very well received. You go to the Wolf Among Us, and I'd be willing to say it probably sold over 1.5 million. If you include consoles and phones and the rest, I'd be willing to say it sold over 1.5 million, but it paled in comparison to The Walking Dead. I can guarantee that it didn't. There's no way it sold more than 2 million, in my opinion, based on my knowledge. It was a very fringe hit. So the second season of The Walking Dead came out, and I can say that this is definitely true. That just look at the difference here. See the difference in the bars in terms of owners? I'll add another couple million on it. Let's say it sold 3 million copies. I guarantee you it didn't sell 3 million copies. But let's pretend that the second season of The Walking Dead it sold 3 million copies, okay? That is half what the first did. Less than half. That's what the second season sold. Less than half. That is an unsustainable business model. You can't have a business model where the sequel to your only true hit game sells less than half. That is crisis mode. That is all hands on deck. That is our company doesn't have a fucking future. When the sequel to your only true hit, which came out a year after the original did, it sells less than half of what the first game did. And unfortunately for them, I don't know what they were thinking, but nothing changed. They continued on. Tales from the Borderlands, the very next game they made, sold even less than the second season, sold even less than The Wolf Among Us. Game of Thrones, the very next game, which was total trash, sold even less than Tales from the Borderlands. Even though Borderlands and Game of Thrones are both hit series, these narrative games sold less than the original Wolf Among Us. They sold comparable to Back to the Future back in 2010. This should be crisis. This should be something that everyone is meeting on a daily basis about in that company. This is you as a company with no fucking future. The next game, Minecraft Story Mode from 2015, sold even less than Back to the Future back in 2010. Sold comparable to Jurassic Park, which is a colossal failure, one of the worst games they ever made, which was back in 2011. Sold even less, or just comparable, just a bit more than that game. The miniseries from Telltale of Michonne from The Walking Dead, which was a black female character who was a badass female, who was independent, who didn't take no shit. Boring as shit, like needlessly made game. Needless. No reason to make it other than to virtue signal about a black character. Just crap. Completely pathetic. I played it. I own it. Worthless game. Sold as badly as Minecraft. Move to the very next game. The Batman series, the first that sucked, sold comparable to The Walking Dead. Michonne, a mini-series, a 3-part series. It sold equivalent to that. The very next series, The Walking Dead, A New Frontier, the third sequel of their only hit series, sold not even half of what the second season sold. Not even half. Maybe a third of what the second season sold. Comparable, again, to Batman. Comparable to The Walking Dead, a miniseries. Comparable to Minecraft Story Mode. Notice the trend on the screen. Notice where's my mouse cursor? Notice this drop-off. This dip up and this consistent downward spiral until it plateaus. Plateaus right here. 4 games in a row that sold abysmally. Didn't even crack 500,000 buyers on fucking Steam. The very next game after A New Frontier, the third sequel to their only hit series, Guardians of the Galaxy, a Marvel series based off of a wildly popular movie of a wildly popular franchise. Okay? Sold so badly, you can't even compare that to Jurassic Park the game from 2010. Sold half what that game did in 2011. Half! That is how poorly it sold. You know what sold half of Guardians of the Galaxy, which was their lowest selling game since probably 2008, if even not further than that. Their worst selling game perhaps in the company history. Minecraft Story Mode Season 2, which they are contractually obligated to make, sold less than half of what anything else they sold. Anything else sold under 200,000. Under 200,000. And what's utterly sad about this whole thing is that Batman: The Enemy Within is better than the original. But because of how tainted this company was by the end, it sold equivalent to Minecraft Story Mode Season 2. It is one of the worst selling games in the company's history. One of the absolute worst selling somewhere around 200,000 copies total on all platforms. On all platforms. And it's you just have to look at this and say that, you know, there's no future for a company like this. There really isn't. And what's amazing about this is that it killed, in part, this genre. They killed this genre. I mean, look at these numbers. Look at these numbers and claim that I'm wrong. Like, again, I can't independently verify this, but they're good figures. And the only thing is going to be that this came out a couple months. You know, this was done in 2017. But the issue is that if you look at these numbers, and the thing is, I'm basing this off knowing what the exact numbers are for The Walking Dead. When nothing compares to it, this is how you get a company that goes into default, where it's fraudulently selling games on Steam at the moment and other platforms. So, get back to Super Chats. You have not considered the effect Let's Play have had on narrative games. The linear games are well suited to Let's Plays walkthroughs, and you can basically watch it online and never want to play it after that. I'm not sure that's true. I've been told that Let's Plays actually sell games more than they hinder games. So I appreciate the support, but I don't know if that's a good enough reason for why we are where we are. I think that may be in part true, but I don't think that's entirely true. Mitch says, looking forward to Boomerhood in 2 years, Louis. Yeah, I guess so. And William Martin comes back and says he counterclaimed it, so it will be reinstated. So was it really worth it? Well, I can tell you right now if that's true or not. So let me see if that's true. So let's see. Holy shit, where is it? Okay, here we go. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. It's still there. Still there, bro. Here, let me show it to you. Ready? Zoom in. I've only ever struck 2 channels, and here's how long it was. And go look at my original. Go look at my original video and go check how long it was, Mr. Oh, he only took a fucking clip. Thanks for the money, by the way, you idiot. So he didn't, in fact, he deleted the video. So there's no video to come back, but I appreciate the money you sent me. Stupid. This is why you should stop listening to fucking retards who don't know what they're talking about and are just trying to stir drama. Anyways, so yeah. So yeah, this is so I'm debating whether I'm going to actually do the video or not, because I've just done this and I've I haven't said everything that I want to say about this, but I've said a decent amount about, um, where we are and how we got here. The only thing is that with this, I don't think that anyone's really going to learn any any lessons from this. I really don't think that there's really gonna. I like the people that are already reaching out and like virtue signaling, like, oh, and this is terrible. This is such a horrible thing. I don't think anyone's really gonna learn about this. Learn from this. I mean, in terms of what not to do as a company. I wouldn't say that it killed the genre since there's a lot of visual novels. Well, okay, so here's the thing. I said this originally, and I still stand by it. I don't think you can compare narrative games and visual novels. Like, you can only compare them in terms of lack of gameplay, sure, and it being primarily, at least supposedly, about story. But the thing is that in terms of quality and overall, like what the focus is, it's something that I don't think you can fairly compare. There's just too much difference between them. And like I said, I think the market for narrative games is incredibly small. And I think the market for it's I think smaller or near to, it's probably smaller than visual novels. I honestly think that. And when it comes to what's becoming more and more available on Steam, they're never going to be able to compete. And when people talk about narrative games, name me the companies. Let's go. Like, let's go through the laundry list of fucking narrative game companies, of which, as far as I can tell, there's like 3 left. There's the people that made, oh man, I'm blanking on, never remember names when I need to. It's David Cage's company, Quantic Dream. So there's one, Quantic Dream. What was that? I own it. It was actually pretty good. What was the name? What's the name of that horror game? They're working on another game that's on a ship. I'm not sure if it's going to be any good or not. Somebody shouted out in the chat. What is the company that made that horror game? That was a narrative game. Supermassive. Thank you, Dalen Dwin. Thank you. So the game was Until Dawn, and it was Supermassive that made that game. And they're on rocky ground, if you ask my opinion, because they put out 2 games that didn't sell well. They put out that game with a female protagonist that was a cop, that was like a party game. That game didn't do well. And there was one more. There was one more game they worked on that was a dud that I can't remember. It was the oh god, it was that game about you're in the asylum of the that's shown in Until Dawn, and that game fucking bombed as well. The Inpatient, thank you. Yeah, that one was also terrible. So yeah, it's they've had, that's 2 flops in a row. And I don't know, the thing is about their new one. Let me what's that can anyone say it real quick? It's not Outlast, it was Inpatient. That's correct. Somebody shout out what the new one they're working on is. I apologize for not remembering this shit. It's a boat one. It's a group of young people on a boat that find a ship of some kind. It's not Bravo Team. Detroit Become Human is for Quantic Dream. That's a different company. Pirate Island. Are people just like, does no one know and people are just making up fucking names? All right, I'll look it up on fucking Twitter. Sea of Thieves. Oh, you guys are not fucking helping me. Somebody said dark picture. I'm going to see if that's correct. Oh, that's Man of Median or Medan. That's the actual game. So it's the Dark Pictures Anthology is the branch of what it's called. I'm not really sure what they're going to be doing with that. Let me put up this Polygon article. It's the first article I could find. Let me also save this. I can link it. So right now they're 2 for 2 for failures. Okay, Until Dawn, as far as I know, made them a small profit, but it as far as you know, it wasn't great in terms of profitability. And the thing is, I like Supermassive. I like their games. They're flawed to be sure, and they've had 2 duds, but they need to win. These games aren't cheap to make, to my knowledge. These are not cheap to make games, so they need to actually, have. The thing is, they have a lot of investment, so they're not like Telltale in that way. They do have investment as a company, but they can't keep having flop after flop. They need to put out some decent games. The thing is, so I'm afraid of whether this is another party game or whether this is a single player game. Yeah, I like, let me Google this real quick and look on the Wikipedia to see if check the, oh god, where's the, just give me the fucking Wikipedia. Let's see all this other shit. Is there no Wikipedia for this fucking game? Are you serious? Is Man of Medan single player? PC, PS4, I don't care. Is it single player or not? Okay, I'm going to assume it is since it's coming out on PC. I would assume otherwise if it was a console exclusive. That in that case, I'd assume it's a party game. But I'll assume that it's a single player game based on the fact that it's coming out on PC. I would appreciate if they would just say as much somewhere, because I haven't seen that place said anywhere that it's single player. Because the party games were a flop. That was a bad idea on their part, and they should have never done it. All right, let me get a cute waifu to put on here so you're not staring at a blank screen. It's too big. There you go. Let's see here. Okay, well, I will tell you what. I will turn this over to the chat, and you guys can... Oh, the other one was, before we get to that, the other thing was the only other company other than Supermassive is Quantic Dream, and there's one other one than that I'm forgetting. Oh, Don't Nod. There you go. Here's what you can offer me, guys. Tell me a company that makes narrative games specifically, that is not Don't Nod, is not Supermassive Games, and is not Quantic Dream. Go. Name one. And I mean that. Try to name me one. So go for it, guys. Go for it. Give me something. Don't give me any Japanese ones, by the way. Don't give me any Japanese games, because that's not what I mean. I mean Western. No. Western. CD Projekt Red. Get the fuck out of here. That's Don't Nod. Life is Strange is Don't Nod. Their broadcaster. Santa Monica. Who is that? Who is that? Is NCSoft still in business? Again, Kojima is Japanese. I'm not getting anything. I get a lot of game. I'm getting studios that are specifically Japanese or deal in Japanese games. I've gotten like 3 examples so far. I see Pandemic. What's Pandemic made? NCSoft, everything they make is Japanese, to my knowledge. Mojang is not. Yeah, Santa Monica is not a narrative company, please. Bethesda, no. All right, unfortunately the chat has failed. Press F for the chat. You have failed. You've not named one. So I am correct. There's 3 that I'm aware of. Other than somebody just named Firewatch, Campo Santo, which those are people that left. They left Telltale. So that's a fringe studio that's made 1 game. So I'm not counting random indies that have made 1 game that only journalists and morons bought. Actually, that's a good idea. Somebody just brought that up, so I'll put it in chat. Press F for Telltale. Let's get an official F on the chat for poor old Telltale, who the big bad Louis said that they were going to fail in fucking 2015. Press S to spit on Telltale. Press A. I'll put that in. That's a good idea. I didn't see who said that. It went by too fast. There we go. Press S to spit on Telltale's grave. Let's see how many S's we get. Oh man, that's a lot of S's. That's a lot of S's. Oh, that's too bad. That's too bad. It seems like there's a lot of people that didn't like Telltale. Oh, all those people out of work in San Francisco. I can't afford to live here. It's too expensive. I didn't get a severance. By the way, if you don't like our game, don't buy it. Fuck you. I can't afford to live here. My healthcare is going to run out. Ah. If you don't like our game, don't buy it. So hold on. Let me put down my beer for a second. Get woke, go broke. There you go. You know, you put yourself in this position, Telltale, and I'm not here shedding any fucking tears. And the thing is, it's still true to this day. You can go back and watch my videos. Like, I never called for the end of the studio. I never said I want the studio to fail. I have said that about BioWare. I've said that many times about BioWare. I want BioWare to fail. Never said that about Telltale. I only said they would fail. That's what I'm guilty of. So if anyone wants to take issue with me for mocking the fact that these people all lost their jobs and I don't feel sorry and all the rest, like that's bad for me because these are real people with real lives and yada yada. I didn't make all these decisions for them, and I never called for them to fail. I just said they would. That's the guilt that I have on my shoulders. That's what I can be blamed for. I called this 2 years ago. I overtly said that this is going to happen. Warned last year that this was soon to happen, and here we are. Was it even a year later? When was that video? When did I do that video? Let's look it up again. Look up that video of mine. That was in July, so a little bit over a year. September, I made it in July. A little bit over a year. And I was right. Let me get up a new waifu while I'm sitting here. Ooh, here's a good one. Here's a spicy one. There's one to mark the end of the summer. All right, let me head back to the chat. 2018 model. It really is, man. You have to credit there, Matthew, that Jeremy really popularized it. But it's so true at this point. This year has been an insane year for Get Woke Go Broke. It really has been. So thanks for the support there, Matt. And you're exactly right. It is the motto of 2018, the official one. And whenever there's a year in review, it should be brought up because it is very true about this year. It has been a crazy year. And Suede says, here's hoping EA goes next. Sure. They're not making anything I give a shit about, so I don't care. You know, if it was Take-Two or 2K more specifically, I would have to say no. You know, they may have a lot of bad business practices and all the rest, but they're making stuff that I want to play, you know, and I'm not calling for every company in the industry or any, you know, publisher to just go under the rest. But of all the bad actors at this point, EA is officially the worst. And if they went tomorrow, it would mean shit to me. Outside of the only thing that I would probably feel bad about, like genuinely, would be The Sims. I have been a fan of The Sims, and I've been playing The Sims for nearly my entire life. Nearly my entire life. I bought The Sims from The Sims 1 from the store days after it released. And to see that die would be it would hurt me. It would feel bad. I would genuinely feel bad that that franchise died because of EA. But they've made so many bad games and so many ridiculous mistakes that I don't know. I don't know if they will be able to recover from this. They have to rely on are zombie buyers, what people are calling NPCs, but I call zombie buyers who just show up and buy their games and put no thought into the process whatsoever. Who use microtransactions unironically, you know, just giving more and more money to these companies for terrible products. And I just don't get it. And that's the only thing to my knowledge that's keeping EA afloat outside of continuous sequels that are continuously selling less, thankfully. And microtransactions. That's all they fucking got. But yeah, people are blaming the sports games, and there's a lot of truth to that. I've seen a few people, including Blood, who said fuck Naughty Dog. The only reason I say my position is I give as much of a fuck about Nintendo as I do Naughty Dog. I don't give a fuck about either. I don't give a fuck about Nintendo in any way, and I don't really give a fuck about Naughty Dog in any way. It could last until the day I die. It could die tomorrow. I don't care about Naughty Dog. The only reason why I bring it up whenever I even do is to talk about the fact that they are a sign of what is wrong in gaming, and they absolutely are. They really are. They are a company that went down the path of becoming SJW as fuck, and they are. And they push that shit hard. And my hope is that they also get woke, go broke eventually. The only problem is that there's a lot of so-called zombie buyers or NPCs that flat out love their fucking games. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't see the appeal. It doesn't make any sense to me. The only game that I ever bought that I consider to be like a Naughty Dog game and liked was Infamous Second Son, where it had a lot of acting, and it was it came across like movie-esque. That would be my comparison to Naughty Dog games, how I perceive them. They seem to be more like a movie than they are an actual game. And they're so focused on personalities and characters that their plots, their stories don't even really matter. You know, the reason why people like Nathan Drake is not because it has anything to do with branching plots and the guns and all the rest in the gameplay and the aesthetics, really. It's just pretty graphics and characters that people like because they're actually played by actors. People can say that I'm wrong, and feel free to. I haven't played the games, but that's how I perceive them. Did they actually go bankrupt, or are you clickbaiting? They are on the brink of it because they cannot deliver on the only thing that they're delivering on is a game that they're contractually obligated to deliver. That's the only thing they're currently producing. The reason why they're not finishing the last season of The Walking Dead is because they can't afford to do so. And that's why they didn't give anyone any severance. They can't afford it as a company. They are on the precipice of bankruptcy. I mean, you can say that I'm clickbaiting, but okay. Let's wait a couple months until they file for bankruptcy protection. Then we'll see. Okay, you know. Uncharted 2, I kind of like Uncharted 1 through 3. Naughty Dog is excellent. Their gameplay is severely underrated. Okay, so apparently people are going to push back and claim that you know, it's a great studio and they make great games. Okay, have fun with them. I'm never going to play their games. There has not been one thing that they have ever produced that even slightly like interested me. Nothing they've produced ever has ever caught my interest, and I just don't get it. I don't understand why people why they like the games. I don't get it. I watched people are continuously, even in this chat, praising The Last of Us. I don't get it. I've watched a million people foam at the mouth over how great of a game that was, and I just never understood. I was like, I don't want to play this. If I wanted to watch a movie, I'll go watch a fucking movie, because that's what this is. This is like a popcorn summer zombie movie that people want to say is fucking a masterpiece because it involves like feelings and violence. Doesn't make any sense to me. Wolfenstein 2 was pure far left trash. I've been told that. I haven't played that, and it's because I played the original Wolfenstein, the one before it, or the two before it. I don't even remember how many sequels they've had. And I was like, yeah, this is boring shit. And that was it for me for that company. Or I should say not necessarily the company, but that franchise. People just foamed at the mouth about the first game. Oh my god, you know, we got a new Wolfenstein. And it's like, okay, that's nice. I don't have any nostalgia for the game. I played the original Wolfenstein. I had zero nostalgia for it. Zero. I don't play games based on fucking nostalgia. That's not why. No love for Ratchet or Clank or Jack and Dexter. Nope. I even played I played one of those when I was younger. I don't even remember which, but I played one of them, and that shows you how much I had invested in it. Not a terrible game, but it didn't stick with me. Somebody, Courier 10, who that sounds like a New Vegas reference, says, I owned Wolfenstein 2 and it was so on the nose that's fucked. I think you mean that it's fucked. Yeah, I agree. It just looked terrible. The only thing that I liked that I saw of the cutscenes was of Hitler, like the portrayal of Hitler being like a total fucking lunatic when he was older. That was the only thing that I saw of it that actually made me smile. I didn't laugh, but it made me smile that like Hitler was this fucking lunatic, and BJ was there to try out for a part to play himself. It was a bit cringy, but it made me smile. That was the only thing I saw of it that made me smile. That interested me in the slightest. Matt says, do you prefer narrative over mechanics? So that's been a big debate that I've been engaged in with people for a long time about games. And I can say that in large part, I do prefer narrative over mechanics, but it doesn't mean that I will overlook very poor mechanics just because something has a good story. I think that it's fair to judge a game based on its mechanics or the lack thereof in terms of quality. And just because a game has a good narrative doesn't mean that you can't look over the issue of that quality of mechanics. But there are other aspects to a game that could justify even poor mechanics, and that is, in my opinion, and I thought about this earlier today, like what would be the thing that I would focus on if I was making a game? And I've talked about this previously, and maybe it would, and I may have done a video where I talked about this probably at some point. But the thing in my mind that ultimately makes or breaks either, not always a game, but more importantly, a story, especially as it relates to film, is pacing. Pacing is one of the key issues when it comes to fiction. And in my opinion, it is something that is important to, especially in a linear game. If your pacing is off, it will definitely impact the immersion that a player has in a game. And I think that, unfortunately, for a lot of games, especially first-person like action shooters, the pacing is just way off. And a good example of that, I can show you that some of you may have played, was Call of Duty World War II, the single player of that game. It was so unbelievably fast in terms of pacing, and it's true for several different Call of Duties. It's not actually true about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. It's not true for that game's single player, or even Call of Duty Modern Warfare. But it was very true for several of the Call of Duties, in very, very noticeably in Call of Duty World War II. The pacing was just really fast, and it was jarringly fast, and it made the game virtually unplayable. It was so fucking fast. But that, in my opinion, is one of the key aspects to a game. So we got, let's see. Burnout says, what are your thoughts on the Senate Judiciary Committee delaying Kavanaugh's confirmation based on the sex allegation? What about the Anita Hill hearings before? So I only know a little bit about Anita Hill in that it's related to Clarence Thomas. I've never watched like the actual hearings related to it, but I do know about the allegations against him, and that, as far as I know, if I can remember correctly, they never materialized. I can't quite remember it, but I do remember that was one of the things that held up his appointment from, oh Jesus, was it the first George Bush, or was it Reagan? I don't even remember. I'd have to look up who appointed him. It might have been Reagan, but that was a long time ago, and that's very old news. But in terms of Kavanaugh, I think we all know what it is. It's just a political ploy. You know, you got to remember that this is an election year, and we are closing the gap. You know, it is almost November. You might not think so, being that it's the 22nd of September, but nah, brah. You don't get politics. We are nearly there. And October is the money month. That is the month where that's where the fucking super PACs start dropping fucking money. So get ready, buckle up for fucking October, because it's going to be nuts. Honestly, people are going to look to me to provide commentary, but I don't know how much I'm going to be invested in it. With all the things that I got going on, I really don't know how much I'm going to be able to dedicate to the election. I'll try to do something towards the later end or in November, but I don't really know how invested I want to get, because even stuff with like the Kavanaugh hearings, I'm just avoiding it, because it's like the guy is some moderate, like borderline corporatist, like George Bushite dude judge, and it's just like, he's like a milquetoast conservative. He's probably going to get on the court, just be another stock conservative, and, you know, do little other than vote for mildly conservative things occasionally, maybe cross the aisle in terms of votes on a rare occasion, and then he's going to greenlight every like money is speech. Corporations have more rights than individual citizens. Like, he's going to be on board for all of that every step of the way, like pretty much every conservative justice on the court. I mean, it's pretty much what you'd expect for him being a justice. He's nothing out of the ordinary. And do I believe that he pinned down some woman and groped her 37 years ago with some other person who ardently denies that it ever happened? In which case, there's no evidence whatsoever that there was even a party, let alone that he ever was there or did shit. Do I think that that's something worth discussing? No. I think it's a fucking false allegation that was put forward by the Democrats on purpose to delay the process and try to demonstrate to their voting bloc that they need to turn out in November because blah, because blah, which is a reference to something that I can't quite remember. It might be Ace Ventura. You know, there's no reason. It's just basic bitch politics. Try to stir up your base for fucking November because you're banking on fucking nothing. It's fuck Trump, ma Russia, ma vagina, and I hope to God we don't lose to the Republicans, and we better hope that the Republicans fuck it up, which by all appearances they are, especially in my area, man. It's crazy. Patrick says, did you see Bannon's interview with The Economist? Is that a new one or an old one? I've seen a bunch of interviews with Bannon. So you'll have to specify, Patrick. You can send me it on Twitter or something if you don't want to send another super chat. Whether you mean new or old. Link me to it if you can. Blood Tide says, I can't wait for November to be over. Yeah, me too, honestly. It's so bad right now. It's so out of control and just cynical that it's boring. I don't really have, someone asked what's my opinion of Gearbox. I don't really have much of an opinion of Gearbox. I don't really think much of them. Let me check the twatter. I'll get a new image on screen for everyone. Here's a good one. Let's put this one on screen. I like this cat girl. This is a very pretty cat girl. Still though, you got to remember the laws, so no consent. But very pretty. Here's another one. It's a little bit darker and harder to see, but it should look good with the background the way it is. X off that one. You can look at that one. Let me hit my notifications. Check that out. Okay, I got that. Thank you, Patrick. I got your link. I'll check that out. It's from 1 week ago. I have not seen it. Someone asks on Twitter, am I FBI now? Well, let me, actually, I won't look it up. I showed the image earlier, sure. Yeah, I have to get that meme. What is this? Some meme. Somebody sent me, Ben sent me. Oh yeah, somebody, Babu, is it Babe Babu? Sent me a link of Ubisoft San Francisco trying to hire these people, or at least virtue signaling that they're going to meet up with some of these people and like headhunt some of them. Yeah, I mean, it's Ubisoft. They can feel free to hire some more SJWs into their company. Excuse me, company until they fucking fail. You know, Ubisoft is one of those fucking companies, man. They are playing with fire in every game they make. Every game they make, they are playing with fire with they have SJW developers on staff, and they're eventually, I think it's going to kill them because they're really playing with fire. This image is a bit boring. Let's get a new image up here. There you go. Ubisoft will be making gay love with Socrates. So that's the thing is, I've been debating whether I should stream again. I actually hit up a few people that are like routine followers of mine or subscribers of mine. I don't want to say followers. It sounds demeaning. But subscribers of mine that have been around for a while. And I asked them, you know, should I stream Life is Strange 2? And I actually had a decent amount of people say, like, who gives a shit? And I was like, wow, Yeah, I guess so. Who gives a shit about Life is Strange 2? It does look lame as shit. Like I haven't pre-ordered it. I haven't decided whether I'm gonna buy it or not. It just looks bad and boring. But anyways, the reason I bring that up is that I just thought to myself, like, what games am I gonna buy this year? Because I considered, and I have been considering for a while, like doing something on OBS and actually streaming, because I haven't done that, for a long time. But there really isn't a lot for me to play that's coming out that would be at all interesting or new for people to see. But see, somebody says stream it for the lulz, but it's like I bought that spin-off of Life is Strange, Before the Storm. I bought Before the Storm with the purpose in mind that I was going to stream it and laugh at it. And I was like, okay, I'll play it through once, then that will be what I decide to whether I should play it or not. And I played it and I didn't finish it. It was so fucking boring. It was so fucking boring that I was like, I can't stream this. Like, I'm not witty enough to stream this and make this interesting. I'm not that witty. That's how fucking boring it was. And so I decided not to do it. People can say that, I should have done it anyways, but I literally thought to myself, like, okay, what can I meme? What can I bounce off and play off of? What exactly about this can I make fun of and have people enjoy the commentary? And I couldn't come up with things. There was plenty enough that you could play off of, but it dealt more with the first game than it did the actual spinoff. And it's like, this isn't working. And I was like, fuck it. This isn't even worth my time. And I didn't finish it. Let's see here. People are saying to stream anything. So it looks your name makes me want to say miasma, but it's like melisma. Says Life is Strange Before the Storm gets cringy as fuck as you get into it. I got into like whatever it was, like the second or third episode. Like, I was pretty far into it and it was just boring. Like that would be, I wouldn't even, it is cringy, sure, but it's boring. It's more boring than it is cringy, and that's terrible. There's no reason to stream something if you're bored. If you, the player, are bored playing it as like the host. You want to play something, like when people watch live streamers or let's players or whatever, like half of it is the game and the other half is the person playing it. It's the personality of the person playing it. And you require both to make it interesting. Some people can watch the game and it could just be the person playing and they don't have to listen to that person, but it's usually half and half. The personality of the person playing the game, playing off of the game, not just playing it, but playing off of, giving witty or insightful commentary as they play, but also the game. And if you don't have if you don't have a game that's worth playing, it puts all of the onus on the person playing it to make it interesting. And I can tell you that I'm just like, maybe if I did this professionally, that I was a live streamer or a let's player, I could do it with Life is Strange Before the Storm. But I was like playing it. I'm like, this is going to be like right out of the gate. Like, I'm going to have to try to find things funny about this. Somebody asked, am I going to play Life is Strange 2? I haven't decided. It doesn't look interesting to me. It's about I think two brothers, like a brother who would be in the age of like a 13 or 14-year-old brother and an 8-year-old brother or 7-year-old brother. The 7-year-old brother has like magical force powers, like basically like the Force, like he can force push things. And he basically gets stopped by he hurts some kid, and then the cops stop him, and the cops are basically like walking, talking stereotypes of like Jiddish, yokel cops, like, oh, freeze, oh, you better not move, and the kid overreacts and like injures the cop and like pushes the cop car over and does a bunch of damage, and then the older brother and the younger brother like basically flee from the police. And it looks stupid as shit. But like I look at it and I say, is this interesting? Is this funny? Is this cringy? It just looks boring. It just looks boring. Have you watched ER's video on Life is Tumblr? Yeah, I think I have seen that. I recognize the name and I think I have watched that video. That's from a while ago. What about the Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit? I have played that, and it's fairly boring. They play everything very straight. They take things very seriously in that, and it's not poorly done necessarily. Like it's an obvious improvement over the spin-off or the original Life is Strange, but it's just boring. It's like, okay, you got like a little kid who likes to play around and have adventures, and his dad's an alcoholic. Wow. Like, wow, so great. Like, here's the thing. Okay, let me get a new image. Let me get a new image first, and then I will tell you the secrets. Nah, that one's too much like the other one that I did. That one's also like the other one. Here's a better one. Okay. So, what is the secret to narrative? So I can tell you this. I've taken writing courses. I have a degree in communications, in which part of that is creative writing, also nonfiction writing. Like I know how to write articles, I know how to edit, I know how to do the things of like formatting of that. I understand some things about writing. What is the key to narrative? What is the key to story? What makes story interesting? What makes story immersive? What catches your interest? What makes you want to read more? What makes you interested in a story? And let's see, I'll go to the chat. I'll turn this over to the chat real quick before I say. What is the secret to story? What immerses someone? So we got character. That's incorrect. It can be, but that's incorrect. I guess we'll have to catch up a second. Oh, there we go. Somebody said dem tits. That's partially true. Depends on the story, but no. What's is it Dies Ari? Ire? Dizari? I don't know how you say your name, bro. But despite the fact that you have that like Caven head meme as an avatar, you are completely correct. Conflict. That is what makes story interesting. That is what captures people's attention. That's what people are invested in. It isn't just characters. People can say characters. That's not true. It's conflict between those characters. It's conflict that makes story interesting. If you look at any story, any movie, any game of which pacing is a major component, a major factor in the framework and the structure of the fiction, it's conflict that is driving the story forward. Anytime that pacing is a major component of what makes something interesting, it is conflict driving the narrative forward. And I can tell you that that is what actually made the original Life is Strange provocative. That is why people played Life is Strange. Conflict. Guess what wasn't in the spin-off to Life is Strange? Guess what definitely wasn't in Captain Autismo, whatever the name of the stupid spin-off free game is? There's no conflict whatsoever. None. You get some minor character development and some wasting of your time. Any story that's worth a shit that is going to catch your attention, it requires conflict. And I don't really think that the conflict that is present in Life is Strange 2 is worthy of my attention. It doesn't capture my attention. So, and the thing is that I thought about this, and I have thought about this earlier. I could easily hire me full time. I could easily create an outline for a story that would be Life is Strange in essence, but better. Just period, better. All you have to do is take the basic structure of young adulthood and add conflict to it. That's all you have to do, is up the conflict, up the stakes. I've seen plenty of even indie movies where that's the focus, where it's young adults, they're not taking things seriously, there's conflict is introduced, and now they have to deal with it. And it's basic. It's basic. All it requires, and here's the thing. Here's a good example. And I saw somebody say The Last Jedi. A good example of this is oh God, what's Roundhead Ryan Johnson? Ryan Johnson did it in Brick. You have to start out with something that is very heavy, that's very gauche, in your face, that introduces the fact that this is a serious story. And in Brick, the first thing you're introduced to is the protagonist's girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, who's dead. That's the first thing you're introduced to, is the protagonist looking at the dead body of his ex-girlfriend. And that's where the story begins. That's the beginning of the fucking movie. And what that is an immediate introduction to is the conflict of the story. And that's what drives it from beginning to fucking end. Finding out what happened to the protagonist's girlfriend. That is how you actually structure a story. Even within that movie that doesn't have perfect pacing, it drives the story forward. And all you have to do is make something serious. And they tried that with Life is Strange, with one character potentially committing suicide, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I talked about this a while ago when I criticized the game at length, and I know I talked about this in previous streams, where the easy thing to do would have been you present a false choice of go up to the rooftop as Max, and you're trying to save the character. The way that you basically create conflict is you have Max go up, and no matter what she does, no matter how many times she replays the past, she can't save the character. Every single time she goes back and back and back and back, she can't save the character. And she's faced with the idea that no matter how many times she tries, there are some things beyond her power. And it immediately showcases that she is vulnerable as a character. But the thing is, they give you the option in the game to save the character, and it comes of no result. Nothing comes of it. Nothing comes of the fact that you save the character. She disappears for the rest of the fucking game. And yeah, somebody said Steins Gate. That's a good example. Steins Gate did this. And did so fairly well with that the character. I forget the name of the character, but it's the original like character that follows along the protagonist and is like a very cutesy, innocent character. Guess what? That's why they did it. They made it a cutesy character that you love and is lovable for that specific reason, to torment you with later. That's why they made that character. And that's good writing. That's good writing. What was the conflict of the original Life is Strange? Figuring out what happened to Zoe's girlfriend. That was the original conflict. Girls were getting kidnapped, raped, and killed. What happened to them? That was the original. That's the actual conflict in it. They didn't really focus on it, though. But in Life is Strange, there were so many things that could have been done with that game to make it immensely better. But, it's Chloe, not Zoe, my bad. That might have been a Freudian slip. Yeah, there was so much wrong with it that you just look at it, and it's like you could have easily made this a better game, and you didn't. And it's so easy. And so here's my overview for you. Okay, here's my overview for you. Here's my pitch. Not fully developed pitch. Okay. Somebody says, okay, what do you do with Life is Strange 2? What's the sequel to Life is Strange? Okay. Life is Strange, where you can create a protagonist, where you can choose your background, basically a basic format of male, female, and skin color probably shouldn't matter. I mean, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Depends on what you want to do with it. But you create your own character, you choose your own background, and it only matters to a certain degree, and you are a freshman student at a university, and you're going into a university that has a whole litany of different issues, and you can introduce real life issues of SJWs on campus, anti-SJWs on campus, far leftists on campus, right-wing people that want to resist them on campus, a biased institution, a corrupt institution, people that are taking advantage of, let's say, the SJW side, people that are taking advantage of the conservative side, secrets, you can introduce the idea of corrupt fraternities. You can introduce the idea of people covering for corrupt fraternities. You can introduce the idea of networks of power, of people that are, the head cheerleader and the quarterback for the football team, and this person from this fraternity. They have a trifecta of a group that coordinates with one another to protect one another. Like, there's a million things that you can do with it. And all you need to do is set that up, set up those characters, set up that conflict between other people, of other groups, of other cliques, and just drop in your protagonist. It's that simple. And I can tell you that somebody said evergreen. It doesn't have to be that extreme. I mean, maybe that you can do that as an example, but yeah, see, somebody says, is this bully? Yes, this is bully. This is bully. You are correct. But this is the difference between bully, is that it was set in a high school where there was plenty of limitations. What you do is you put this in universities where there's money. See, this is the thing. I was in campus politics. I was in the student senate at my alma mater for a few semesters. Okay, there's money changing hands constantly. You can get stipends, and you can get salary for being involved in student politics. There's money constantly changing hands. There's money constantly going through fundraisers that disappears, that people can't account for. It's very easy to make that a story. It's very easy to make that a point of contention of money disappearing. That's an element of the administration. It's an element of the student body in terms of the politics. It's a part of the student organizations, like the football teams, the athletic teams, the arts teams, the music teams, all the different organizations that are part of the university. It's very easy to create cliques and to create conspiracies and to introduce the idea of gray. And so what's gray? Gray is you are introduced to the idea that, let's say there's a student journalist on campus. A student journalist tips you off as a protagonist that they want you to help them investigate corruption on campus, that there's money disappearing. There's fundraisers that are happening for the music club, for the football team, for the track team, for the science club, and all these other different clubs, and money's disappearing. Where's the money going? So you look into it, and yes, in fact, they are stealing money. But you find out that the head of the conspiracy is the president, is the student body president of the actual student body, of the student union. It's the president of the university that is behind the theft, of the siphoning of funds from all these different groups. You find that out, but he introduces to you that, yes, he is stealing this money, but it's for X reason. There's a justifiable reason for why he's doing it. It's not just simply to enrich himself. It's for another reason as well. He is enriching himself, but he's also doing it for another reason. And he not only gives you a justifiable reason for why he's doing it, but he lets you know that the journalist that introduced that is going to be running against him in the next election and is just looking to take him out. So the person that claims to be doing all of this for noble reasons is directly going to benefit by taking out the existing person. There's a million different ways that you can play this and make it interesting, where it showcases basically the idea that there is no noble side for you to take. There is no actual ideal that you can hold. It's just a difference of what you actually value more than something else. Do you actually take out the president who's participating in corruption that has been there for decades. This has been nothing new, and he can showcase to you that every single consecutive president since going back decades has been doing exactly what he's been doing, that he has just simply maintained the status quo and has reasons for doing what he's doing. And there's so many ways to make it interesting. And here's another example. Here's another example. An SJW in the university who is basically going around the campus, is doing what you saw in Evergreen, is challenging professors, is shutting down classes, is no platforming people, is censoring people, is using coercive tactic against the student press, is doing what Melissa Click did, basically intimidating people that are trying to get to the truth. You have an SJW on campus. The SJW is a bad fucking person who is self-interested. They are in no way a noble person. They are a self-interested cynic. And you realize this about them. It drips from them that they are a self-interested politician doing all of this for their own power. You find this out. They come to you and they tell you that there's a story that's been buried by the existing student body president. Same person as we talked about before. The SJW tells you that there was a rape that happened in a fraternity that is on campus, that student body president resigned from to become the president, because you can't be part of both those organizations most times on campuses. As it relates to the student union, you can be in the Senate, but you can't be in part of the administration of the student union and also be part of a fraternity. You have to typically resign from the leadership. So he resigned from the fraternity, and what he has is a black book. And in this black book is evidence to all the wrongdoing from particular fraternities. And what the SJW wants you to do is investigate that, and you do. The SJW tells you to investigate. You find out that it is in fact true that 20 years ago, 20 years before you ever showed up in this fraternity, there was a rape. It was covered up. And part of the person one of the people that knew this was the existing student body president. He knew that this cover-up happened. He had the evidence for it. He never put it forward. He retained it. He kept it secret. Now, you're basically given the choice of what do you do with this information. You know there's been a cover-up. You know this was a rape that was never prosecuted. But the issue is, you have a student body president who just continued to cover it up, who may be corrupt, but what you're doing is turning it over to an SJW that only wants it so that they can then justify their own crusade, so that they can then take over campus and continue to do illegitimate things, to censor people, to hound people, to no platform and shut down classes and intimidate people. They're only interested in that information to promote themselves. Do you turn that information over that to them? Do you do that? There's plenty of things that can make an easily interesting game, from my perspective anyway. Because there's so many mundane things about campus politics that are interesting, that engage in a lot of conflict. And what we'll do is, for those of you that are still here, let me check how many people are even in here, because I haven't looked. Okay, almost 400 people. Okay, so I'm going to go to chat right now. And for those of you that have been listening, press 1 if that sounds interesting. Or 2 if it was shit. So I want to hear it from the chat. If what I just said is interesting to you, press 1. If it isn't, press 2. What do you think about what I just laid out in terms of a story, in terms of ideas? Okay, I'm seeing a couple 2s, but I'm seeing a lot of 1s and some meme posts. Not a fan of narrative games, though, too. To eat a dick. Hold on, let me approve that. 1488, 12. I wasn't paying attention. Well, like I said, I think it's incredibly easy to make an interesting story for like just young adulthood. I really don't think it's that hard. Not enough shooting. There could be shooting in it. Bill Clinton simulator. Okay, let me get a new image. Fuck off. Is this one good? Yeah, this one's all right. Let me get this one up. There you go. Might be a little bit small because of the size of the image, or the format of the image, I should say. Bill Clinton simulator. All right, well, it might be time to wrap this up. So let's get in some last messages. Let me check. Okay, there's nothing on Twitter. So yeah, let's wrap this baby up. Let's wrap it up, guys. Let's get a final question, and then we will we'll end this stream. We'll end it. The wrong kind of cat. So what do we got? What do we got for a final question? I know I'm waiting for chat to catch up. Yes, I did see Medicre's furry video. It's pretty fucked up. What do I think about the latest drama between Ralph and Sargon? I think it was stupid, and I, other than what I'm doing now, I completely sidestepped it because I thought it was redundant. And currently, what was smart of Sargon was to get involved in it, and now he's overseas. Well, he's here now. He's in America, but he's busy shooting AKs and 50 cals and going to e-celeb meetups that I wish I could have gone to, but unfortunately I couldn't. Are you for protectionism on all trade or just with the Chinese? I would say that based on the status quo, it would likely be on all trade. It doesn't mean that you have to do it permanently. It's just a matter of us getting our way in certain, like with Canada and Mexico, it's obvious why we should be doing it. With the EU, it's obvious why we should be doing it. With China, it's obvious why we should be doing it. With Japan, to some degree, it's obvious why we should be doing it. Main reason why we have to get rid of Abe and show his weakness as a leader. He just got reelected, I think, pretty well in Japan, which is not great because he's a piece of shit. I don't know what that question means. Do you think Lex Luthor was right in Superman and trying to sink California off the continent? You may have been right. When deciding whether or not to give the info to the SJW, is there an option where you can run them over? Not to that effect, but I would imagine in my game there would be a way to basically fuck them over, to try to ruin them. It would basically be like you could, in essence, you are an important person on the campus and you basically can decide a lot about the politics. I'm sure what I would do would be to include in the game that you're not all powerful and you can't decide everything, and there would be some things that would happen regardless of what you do. But you would basically decide the direction of the campus on a macro level, and you'd really leave your mark on it. And you would basically decide not only what would happen, but who you would be perceived as. Like you would be able to decide to some limited degree what your major would be, which would basically introduce certain people to you that would be in certain classes and not others, of which it would naturally sort of project you into certain cliques. And it would basically demonstrate what happens on campus, where just by proximity to certain people, you join certain cliques, you hang out with certain people, you are informed of certain things, of certain politics, of certain people's perspectives on what's happening, and you're basically going to be pressured into doing certain things, and you can ultimately decide whether you join them or not. But it just showcases to the player the difference in perspective of different people that are opposed to one another, and the ability for you to interact in that. And I think that that would be something cool. Do you think the Russians are going to hack the Brazilian elections? No. I think you have a better chance of the United States government hacking your elections, or the EU. One of the Five Eyes hacking your elections, if anyone's going to. Why was Michelle Catlin talking shit about you the other day? It's because of Ralph's stream. She's like a Ralph crony, as far as I can tell. And she came over to my Twitter account and got blown the fuck out. Like I embarrassed her, and whatever. It was unprovoked. Just came out of nowhere, started talking shit, got blown the fuck out, and went away. And that was all there was to it. I'm not sure what's going on right now with Congress in Silicon Valley, so I can't speak to that. Someone should take a look at the Telltale devs and take note of where they go and see what happens. That's a lot of people, dude. A lot of people got laid off, so I'm not really sure how you'd be able to keep track of all those fucking people. I mean, I'm sure you could keep track of certain people, like their community manager, see what happens to them. Why did I buy a house without a waifu? Well, that's part of the step. You can't always have both at once. You need to, it was there. The opportunity was there. I won the bid. I didn't think I would, but the person finally stopped asking too much for the house, and it just won the bid. And so things move forward from there. Do I have a favorite period for historical drama? I mean, there's been drama throughout history, so I don't really think I have I mean, maybe like the 18th century, I guess. I mean, there's so much conflict throughout history. I don't know if I really have a century, because you talk about the 17th into the 18th, and then he immediately follows that you have the 19th century, which was pretty fucking crazy, and then you have the 20th century, it was extremely fucking crazy, and then you have now. So no matter what time in history you look at, there's plenty of conflict. So I don't really know if you could really pick one. Mike, drop it on the future of Western gaming companies. Well, that's the thing, Tim. That was going to be one of my points about was my most controversial video ever, and that was the inconsequential death of Western gaming. That was probably my most controversial. I had at least it was around 200 people that unsubbed from me when I put that video out. Like right after I put that video out, I had 200 people unsub from me, which on my channel, which is not that big, it was a lot for me. But the thing is that the degree in which that I pushed the point may have been too far, but I don't think I was wrong. And that's what I was looking for. I was looking for someone to actually argue against what I said, and they didn't. They only further cemented my position by saying oh, well, the Japanese companies are doing well. It's like, yeah, that's part of my point. It wasn't even an argument against what I said at all in any way. It's just that was a kind of a disastrous video for me because I lost a lot of people after that. They really were pissed off when that video came out. But the thing is that I think here I am, that was earlier in the year. Here I am months later, and I still don't think I was wrong. Like I said, I may have been wrong in terms of the tone that I took and how harsh I was, but I don't think that my overall point was wrong in the least. And if you fast forward to now, with the collapse of Telltale, like, this is what I've been fucking talking about. Like, does the closure of companies give you confidence in the future of gaming? It doesn't for me. So, yeah, I like, that's going to probably be part of the video if I do it, or I talk about that fact. That despite the fact that I got pushback in 2015 when I talked about Telltale, I got pushback when I talked about less so, where I said that the company was running out of time to figure their shit out. It's amazing how accurate I was. It's amazing how accurate I was in that video. Go watch it after you're done with this. Go watch Out of Time, Out of Ideas. Go watch how accurate I was in describing the fall of this company. It was unbelievable how on the mark I was. And insiders verified practically everything I said about what was going on. So yeah, in my opinion, Telltale, what has happened to it is very emblematic of what's happened in gaming. Do I have any career plans outside of beyond investigator? Yes and no. I mean, I'm sort of coasting along in the company I have now. I'm not really. I won't say that I'm satisfied with my current position. I'm not. It's very demanding, and the company is all over the place. And there's a lot of fucking turnover right now. A lot of fucking turnover. And they seem to be sort of losing the like one thing that I definitely think needs to happen is the regional manager that we have right now. I think he needs to go because he's not necessarily completely incompetent, but he sent out an email 2 months ago, which was basically like, if you're not willing to dedicate yourself completely to this job, quit the fucking company. And immediately after he did that, 2 people quit when they were already short-staffed in the state. He sent out this basically, fuck you, quit the company email, and people started quitting. And it's just like, then he had to retract it. And it's just like, what kind of fucking, like, you don't understand that you're working all of us to death and you're pissy at us because we're not getting the direct results that you want. And it's like, well, you want every case in the matter. You want us to be giving 110%. But it's like, you're at the same time, like right now, I should have gone to bed like half an hour ago. If I wanted a full night's rest, I should have already been going to bed. But the thing is that like, I'm going to be fucking tired tomorrow regardless. So it doesn't really matter. Today, it's the same case that I worked today. And today was a fucking disaster. I didn't get shit done today. Nothing good happened today. It was an incredibly frustrating day. And the company itself, especially the management, doesn't seem to give a shit. They send out these pissy emails and people go, you know what? Fuck it. I'm done. But yeah, I can't, like, the thing is, I say I can't imagine myself doing this forever. And it's true. I can't. But the thing is that the only thing that I have in my mind is unironically joining the FBI, because I know that there is a path to that from my position now, is you get a certain amount of, I already have the credentials to get in. I just need the experience. And it's about 5 to 7 years. And especially if I knew somebody already in the FBI, I could just enter the FBI and become an investigator. The problem is that going to be any less work? I don't think so. It might be more money, but it would probably also be more work than I'm already doing. And I don't really know if I can handle more of that. Someone says, it sounds like you need to be looking for a new job. Well, this is the thing. It's just, it's the end of the summer and they have all these cases. They have to fulfill all these contracts and they have lost so many fucking people from the state. It's unbelievable this year how much turnover they had. This is true. They hired in the spring, they hired, and we're talking about the spring, they hired 8 fucking people from my area alone. 8 fucking people. All of them have quit by now. All of them. 8 fucking people. And this is the thing, like, I'm not talking about, like, you know, the entire state for my company. I'm talking about 8 investigators, on the ground investigators for Western New York up to like Syracuse and maybe Albany. So like not the tip, like the top part of New York, but like the middle portion of it. The middle portion where 10 investigators could probably cover everything. They lost 8. It's unbelievable how much turnover they've had. And the thing is that I can only blame it on the regional manager and the company itself because they're overly harsh and they don't give enough people enough time off. And that's the reason why fucking people are quitting. Somebody just said it's worse turnover than when you worked in fast food. I'd agree. I think it is equivalent to like McDonald's level amount of turnover. It's ridiculous. Somebody mentioned it. It's funny because the other day I investigated a journo. I legitimately investigated a local journalist. It was hilarious. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Like, what's funny is that occasionally I'll investigate somebody who, like, I legitimately like look through the information I have on them. Like, I can go through all their social media, their whole background, all of it. And I'll like realize like, wow, this is a really fucking scummy person who I don't like. And then like I'll like try the whole day. Like I'll be out there for 8 fucking hours paying attention the entire time, waiting for them to do something because I want to get evidence on them. But it's unfortunately for the journal case, it was a specific problem that this person had, and I won't go further into that because then it's leaking details that I shouldn't be leaking. But they're basically bedridden ultimately, and they don't leave. So it was too bad. I wanted to get information on them. If I was Tim says, if I was the manager or the regional manager, I'd be asking him some harsh fucking questions. I've fired site managers for better turnover. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that there's some real disconnect between the management and the field. They seem to have some real problems with that, and they don't really seem to understand the consequences of certain actions. Like, one of the things that's been a real fucking problem this year has been the scheduling. It has been out of fucking control. I'm talking about like cases that have, like, I have a case on I want to say Monday that starts at 5 a.m. Now it's not that far, so it's not that big of a deal for me. I have to get up at 4, travel half an hour. It's going to be in Buffalo. And I'm going to be working a case for, it's not even half a day. It's going to be probably 3-4 hours tops. It's not long. It's not a long case, but I got to start at 5. And basically keep that in mind. Okay. That's not that big of a deal. Take that and have a case where you're coming home, it's 4 o'clock, you're fucking tired, you're worn out, it's been a frustrating day, you've gotten nothing, you know it's going to damage your numbers, you know you're going to get a fucking email bitching at you about this because you just spent like 10 hours not getting shit. And you come home, you say to yourself, okay, you know what, it's fine. It's been a long day, not much happened that was good for me, but that's okay. I can stay up, I can have a beer, I can play a game, because tomorrow I don't have to get up until like 9 o'clock. I don't have to get up till like 10 o'clock. It's fine. Whatever. It's been a long fucking day, but that's okay. You get home, you eat, you do whatever. You do some laundry, you put some clothes away, you do something, you take out the garbage. And then you find out at 7 o'clock that you're now scheduled to get up at 4 a.m. the next day. It's 7 o'clock. You haven't done a report. You haven't looked through all the shit you need to look through. You haven't read the case file yet because it's been added to your fucking schedule like 20 minutes prior. And you need to go to bed in an hour. That has been a fucking constant issue this year. every single fucking week, I have a case that sort of shit happens, where just fucking in the middle of the night, the evening, just something changes. The scheduler just changes a case, and it's like you're going from a case that's half an hour away to 2.5 hours away. So instead of getting up at 5, you have to get up at fucking 3. And that's just day-to-day shit. And I can tell you that is a serious reason why people are quitting. And they have no fucking clue. I've been complaining about it. They got no fucking clue. That, for me, that is nothing. Because the thing is that, and this has been a serious issue for me this year, you have no idea how bad you feel at the end of a week where every single day that week you've had like 5-6 hours to sleep every fucking day. You have no idea how bad it feels unless you do that by the end of the week. How bad you fucking feel. How much you hate your fucking job. This year for me has been, it didn't start that bad, but holy shit, man, has it gone off the rails. And that would be pretty much what I would start with. Would be get rid of the regional manager, likely replace my manager, even though he's not a bad guy. I just don't think he's cut out for the job. He's nice, but he's just not professional about what he does. And fire the scheduler immediately. That is someone who I would have fired the day after they started doing this fucking shit, because they've been doing it for months, and it's never not been a problem. And I don't understand why they've continued to get away with doing it. Because I understand you come into a job, you fuck up for a couple weeks, and then you get the hang of it. But when you've been doing this shit for months, it's unbelievable. Like, and this is the thing. This is one of the major problems with my job. Imagine not knowing what you're going to be working tomorrow until 8 o'clock at night. 8 o'clock at night, you have to realize what time you're waking up the next day, whether it's 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., or your case starts at 3 in the afternoon. You have no idea until fucking 8 o'clock at night. It's been out of control for months. And they should have fired this fucking person's ass months ago, because this person's clearly incompetent. And if it keeps up past the new year, I'm gonna start actually, like, being more coercive in the emails that I send. Like, I'm gonna start saying, like, listen, unless you want me to be like a statistic in your fucking turnover, you need to figure this shit out. This isn't complicated. And this person should have a grip on what they're fucking supposed to be doing by now. But yeah. Tim says the scheduler isn't being managed. Either they think it's acceptable because their manager allows it, or their manager is incompetent. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Tim. You're absolutely right. It's either something they haven't been corrected on, or their manager is just not doing it. So yeah, I'll take one more. I'll take one more, and then we'll break this off. I've gone like 15 minutes past than I wanted to. Yeah, and the thing is, Captain Faggot, nice name, who says that sounds like way too much effort for just a paycheck. I don't even make much more than I used to when I was a guard. I worked at a public site, and I was making pretty good money then. And I saw this job, and I was like, because at the time it was part-time, and I needed a full-time position. And I saw this job, and I got headhunted for this. I saw it listed, and then I got headhunted. Someone came to me and said, "Do you want this job?" And I said, "Yeah." And the thing is that it paid more, but I didn't realize, like, I don't really know how much I want to get into it, but they basically started me off where it was a business week, 5 days on, 2 days off, and then 6 days on. So you would lose Saturday, but you'd have Sunday off. Then out of nowhere, at some point, they changed it to where it is 7 days on, then 5 days on, and then you get 2 days off. And I can tell you that shit is for the birds. I hate that. I hate the fact that I have to work a full week with no days off into the next week, and then I get 2 days off. I hate that shit. Okay, Tim Riggs, let's see. 5 cat girls who verbally consent or 2 23-year-old Japanese chicks who verbally consent. Which is more legal? Cat girls cannot consent, so it's obviously the 2 Japanese chicks. There are 0 cat girls that can consent. Yeah, Jose is like, just go to sleep. I should. I haven't finished my beer. My beer is still pretty full. I stopped drinking it. So I don't know if I want to pound it or just leave it to stale. But I guess I'll end this stream, being that I spent the last like 30 minutes bitching about my job. But yeah, the thing is now that I've purchased a property, it makes it a lot harder for me to just change jobs because I'm going to be playing it pretty close when it comes to if the transaction was completed tomorrow, I'd be pretty freaking close on money. But being that it's a couple months away, I'll probably be fine by then. I don't know why people are talking about Boogie. Boogie exploded at MythCon. Oh, that's mean. Which the problem with Boogie is that now that he's losing weight, he's turned into Fat Bastard. He is turning into legitimately Fat Bastard from Austin Powers, where he has all the excess skin. Like, I legit feel bad for him in that way. He's gonna have to have cosmetic surgery to deal with that. Like, I feel like I'm glad that he's losing weight and he's getting healthy. Like, I legitimately mean that I'm glad that he is getting healthy. That's good for him. It's good for his future in terms of his health and longevity of his life. But I feel bad that now he's legit turning into Fat Bastard, where he's going to have cosmetic surgery to remove all the excess skin that he has because of how quick he's been losing weight. Got to spend 10K minimum to get the skin removed. Are you being comedic, subject to change, or do you mean that? Do you actually have knowledge on cosmetic surgery? I think you're joking. I get the vibe that you're joking. I'll wait for the chat to catch up to see if you're actually speaking truth to that's something he's going to have to spend. Well, I mean, he's not exactly fucking poor, is he? I think he'll be okay in terms of, medical coverage and costs. I imagine Boogie still. Oh, the thing is that Boogie is nowhere near as wealthy as he used to be. I can tell you that for sure, because his channel has been very slowly dying. I saw somebody show me the numbers, and it's pretty clear he's not doing well. The typical charge for a plastic surgery is around 10K out of pocket. Pazinski says even people who lose weight through stomach reduction are subject to health risk. I imagine so, yeah. Because he lost weight really fucking quick. He lost half his shit to his ex. I don't know if that's true. Oh, I can't imagine him not having insurance. You can just buy insurance. I can't imagine him being so dumb as not having insurance. That would be so retarded. He admitted what on a live stream? That he doesn't have insurance? Boogie should do a skin transplant for a bunch of trannies. Aw, Tim. Aw, man, that's harsh. Harsh, Tim. Jeez. The issue is he made his channel all around the surgery and stopped playing games. Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, I don't follow him anymore. I followed him a long time ago and I stopped. I mean, the thing is, like I said, it's good that he's getting healthy, but this thing is that, his channel appears to be kind of cooked. He's going to have to really just come out of the woodwork with a new idea for his channel. His channel's not going to just flat out die. Will insurance deem it a necessary surgery? He would need to make sure his insurance plan would cover that. Yeah, that makes sense. He talked about in the H3 podcast that he gave up half his shit. Wow. You can be uninsurable. I imagine you could be uninsurable. Well, he made his name on. Somebody mentioned his Francis vids. That's as far as I know. That's how I found him, was through his Francis vids. You know, I'm not saying like he's not charismatic. I do think he is, but the problem is that I think he's completely lost his fan base, and he doesn't really have like the thing is that with PewDiePie, people don't give enough credit to PewDiePie in that he has completely shifted his content from what it used to be. Like I hated PewDiePie, not like hated him, but I didn't want. I like his content when he was screaming and shit and doing Let's Plays. I didn't watch anything by PewDiePie for that. But he completely changed his content to where it's practically all vlogs and talking about memes and shit at this point. And he not only retained his audience, he grew from that. So that's quite the accomplishment, especially for a channel that size. But with Boogie, I don't think he's unfortunately one of those channels that he seemingly isn't able to do it. He really needs to try to figure out how he can do it. PewDiePie is also covering more and more news nowadays. For those of you that watch him, people have been sending me his videos pretty routinely that he talks a lot about politics and news at this point. And I've been trying to facilitate a conversation or a meetup or something between PewDiePie and Sargon. But so far, it's all been one way. Sargon's been reaching out to PewDiePie, and he's too skittish. He's too afraid to link up with Sargon because he doesn't want to get smeared again. But I can tell you that it might happen if Sargon gets a certain thing that might happen for him. I don't know if it's still going to happen, but there's a big person that is planning on meeting up with Sargon, and I've already talked to Sargon about that, and he's very likely going to try to speak to this person and try to get a connection to the White House. And this person can give him that. And what's amazing is that if he's actually able to get through this person in like Stephen, what's the guy's name? Is it Harper? What is the name? I think that's the ex-Canadian prime minister. What's Stephen? What's his face? He's the immigration guy. Somebody shout out his name in the chat. He was tied with Bannon and is tied to one other person as well. Stephen Miller. Thank you. Stephen Miller is connected to a few people, and I'm trying to see if this person that is connected to the White House can get Sargon connected to Stephen Miller, who is himself a media guy. People don't see this. Stephen Miller used to be a media guy. So I think that Stephen Miller would be receptive to Sargon. And if this person can get Stephen Miller to share an email with Sargon and connect to Sargon, and basically Sargon says, I want to, I'm part of UKIP. Trump loves Nigel Farage. Like, can we facilitate something here? Can I come to the White House? Can I meet you? Can I interview you? Can I talk to Trump? And, like Sargon and I have already talked about this, and I'm sure we'll talk about it again if this whole thing kicks off in November, which I really hope it fucking does. This will be a big thing if it does. But I'm going to see what I can do, at least on my own, peon end, to get Sargon to hook up with somebody in the White House, because all that needs to happen is for somebody that is press savvy, media savvy, to see something in Sargon, recognize his reach, recognize his connection with UKIP and nationalist politics in the UK, and the fact that it's very clear that Trump has a direct interest in that. And my goal is to get fucking Carl Benjamin, Sargon of Akkad, in the White House with Donald Trump doing an interview. And people can say that'll never happen. You have no fucking clue how possible that is. You have no clue. There's one domino in dividing the two. There's one domino. There's 1 degree of separation between Sargon and fucking Trump. 1 degree of separation. And all Sargon needs to do is bridge that. And it is fucking happening. And in my opinion, that is the game changer. That is when things change. That is when things go fucking crazy. Is where you get Boomer Benjamin. There's your hashtag, Boomer Benjamin, in the fucking White House with Donald Trump. And I think the thing is with Sargon is that I think that elevates him to the next fucking level. And that to me would be the greatest thing in the world. It would be the greatest thing in the world to watch this random asshole who came out of Gamergate, this guy who was nobody, he just came out of Gamergate with like 100,000, 200,000 subs, whatever. And then fast forward a few years, like 2014, 2015 to 2018, and this dude is sitting down in the fucking White House with the President of the United States. It would be the greatest thing in the fucking world. It'd be so great. And it's very possible. And the thing is that it could not happen. The whole thing in November could completely fall apart and just be destroyed. And that would kill me if it did. But if it does fucking happen, and I'll let you know when it does. You believe me, I'll let you know if that whole deal happens. You'll know. Probably, but I'll shout it out as that being what I was talking about. But if it does happen, you have no idea. You have no clue how close. If that happens, if this deal happens, you have no close how close that instantly puts Sargon to Trump. You have no clue how close that puts him. All it requires is one connection, one person out of the White House that has the correct understanding of on the online media to recognize that this is worth entertaining, worth setting up. And boom, it fucking happens. It happens. Because I already said to Sargon, like, you need to put yourself open to show up on a moment's notice. Like, if they want you to fly out there and the next day, take a red eye to fucking Washington and do that interview, you better fucking do it. And he told me he'd be willing to drop everything to do it. And it's like, there you go. That's all you need, is have somebody in the White House connect you to the president and say, and make it clear to them, I will show up on the day that you want me to be there. That is when I'll do it. Whenever you want it, I'll do it. And it will happen. And it'll be an amazing thing. It'll be a game-changing thing for us online peons. But I think I'll wrap it up there. I'll double check that I don't have any other super chats. I don't. I'll wrap it up there because I got to go to bed and I need to get some sleep. And unfortunately, I'm back to being as Raging Buffalo appreciates this. He's going to be listening to this tomorrow. He's nicknamed me Toby for being a slave to my fucking company. And I'm back out to the cotton fields tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. So I appreciate you for stopping by and listening to the stream, and for your support, and for entertaining me and for entertaining my bullshit streams here. And hopefully I will be able to do this in the near future. But unfortunately for right now, I'm busy picking cotton. And I'm hoping that I will have a chance to actually do something fun with my channel, actually make a fucking video. Because I have ideas and I have videos to edit and upload, but I just don't have the fucking time to do them. So yeah, I'll see you guys later on, and thanks for stopping by.